And I'm joined as always by my co-host Mike. Mike, how are you?
I am just as handsome as ever, Drew. How about yourself?
Doing pretty well. All things considered, wasn't the best weekend of football for me personally. Um, but if I'd love it if all my teams won all the time, but they don't. So yeah, I kind of take the bad.
Did Michigan lose too?
We did. We played Oklahoma in Norman, and as it was described on Twitter, which I thought was pretty apt, Michigan. Oklahoma, Michigan. So they did to us what we always want to do to other teams.
Just run down their throat over and over.
Their quarterback, I think his name is John Mateer. His last name is certainly Mateer, is the kind of guy that, like, I don't know if I'm doing him justice if I say, like, he's a one read and run quarterback.
Okay.
But when he ran, it was unbelievably effective. And so, Michigan's kind of a young team this year. We have a second-year head coach, a first-year OC, and a 18-year-old quarterback who's just started playing the game at this level. Actually, Oklahoma has the youngest OC, I believe, in college football at 29 years old.
Oh, wow.
And he was Mateer's, I believe, quarterback's coach at Washington State or wherever he was prior to Oklahoma. Hey, Beatty Buster. And they have been in that same offense. Mateer has been in the same offense for 3 years, even though this is his first year at Oklahoma. So, but it showed. Like, they were the more physical team. They made fewer mistakes. They had an excellent game plan. I was hesitant about playing Oklahoma in Oklahoma, and that was why, because they're legit. They're a legit, just solidly physical, good football team.
Gotcha. So, I did not watch any college football over the weekend, so that is all news to me. So how'd Penn State do?
They destroyed their FCS opponent that they played, or whoever it was. It was not close.
Good.
So, yeah, they did fine. Not sure about Miami, so I can't be expected to know all of your teams. Yeah.
So we usually will start with a news and notes around the NFL, so we can do that. We talked about each of us kind of picking a game. I'll let you go first.
Thanks.
And unless you're not ready, then I can go first.
No, well, I did kind of spring it on you right before we went live. So, I mean, I'm happy to go first under these circumstances here. Miami beat Bethune-Cookman 45-3. I've never heard of that school.
That sounds like an appropriate score for
week two opponent, so that's fine. Yeah, so the game that I want to talk about is Colts-Dolphins.
Okay.
And the reason why is I don't know if the Colts are that good or the Dolphins are that bad. The Dolphins got absolutely cooked by the Colts. I don't know where the game was played. I believe it was played in Indianapolis.
I think
I'll look it up here. Yeah, so yeah, it was 33-8 at Indianapolis. And Daniel Jones, yes, you did, Beatty Buster. Daniel Jones looked real good. Tyler Warren, their tight end draft pick from Penn State, looks like a difference maker right off the bat. And they already had a good group of playmakers. I'm talking about Indianapolis, and their offensive line is pretty solid, and their defense is pretty solid, and so it looks like they had a good game plan, and they executed that game plan, and Daniel Jones didn't have to do anything but execute that game plan. And Miami looks like trash. Miami looks like they got beat up by the teams they had joint practices with, which is what happened. And there's been a bunch of drama in Miami with Tyreek Hill, and now he came out today that his ex-wife or estranged wife is accusing him of domestic violence, which he of course denies. So I mean, there's just another headline, for the Dolphins. Like Mike McCarthy had a presser that was not well received by either Dolphins fans or the media.
Mike McDaniel.
Mike McDaniel, thank you.
The guy that I predicted that would be gone by Thanksgiving. If they keep this up, my bold bet's going to be right on Marty. Yeah. I didn't expect them to be that bad that quick. I just thought they were not going to be good and they would underachieve and lose, not like absolutely get throttled.
I did see one Lions Twitter person say future Lions offensive coordinator Mike McDaniel. So
interesting. Someone doesn't have a lot of faith in Mr. Morton then.
Well, we're going to talk about that in a minute. So
we'll talk about that.
All right. What was your game?
So it was tough to pick. So first, I'm not going to choose the Rams game, but I do want to give a shout out to Stafford for hitting the 60,000 yard mark. He is only the 10th player to do that. So congratulations, Mr. Stafford, on hitting that mark in a win for what that was worth. He also
didn't want to talk about that game, but
I didn't. But
Matt.
I was giving him props for the 60K, but like he was also the highest graded quarterback in the NFL last week in week 1. So props to Matt. The games that I wanted to talk about, I was narrowing it down between basically the AFC North.
Sure.
Bengals Browns was a close game, closer than I thought it was going to be, but they came out with the dub. They being Cincinnati, the team that we were like, how are they going to start? They always start slow. But that wasn't even the best game. That Bills Ravens game was absurd. I feel bad for Derrick Henry for, it was not his fault. They wrestled the ball out of his hands and whatnot, but like he played great all game. And then the Bills, I don't know if you've seen the mark of like the live odds to win, where it's like 99% for the Ravens at like the 4-minute mark or something like that. And then eventually like they ended up pulling it out. That was a great game. To me, when you talk about elite, game-changing, game-defining quarterback play, that was that game. Lamar played great. Josh Allen played great when the chips were down. And you're like, how can we come back from a 40-25 deficit with 5 minutes left? Guys like Josh Allen do that, right? Like that, if you haven't watched it, if you got like NFL Plus, it was a great game. You can see some pretty elite high-end quarterback play, especially at the end of the game. So that was kind of my AFC North. Both those games were really good. One on the high-scoring side, one on the low-scoring side. But that Bills-Ravens game was fun to watch.
It is on my list of games to watch from this week for sure. So just haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah. Hey, Hatters. Yeah, the Ravens, I mean, you could say that they choked, but, fumbles. I mean, Derrick Henry's pretty sure-handled with the football. It was kind of a pile. They ripped it out. I know he feels bad, but like their defense, I mean, obviously at 40-41, both teams struggled defensively, which is not unsurprising when you have such good offenses. So I'm not sure they necessarily choked as much as basically one unfortunate circumstance kind of snowballed into 2 very quick scores. And when you got a guy like, I mean, look what Josh Allen did to us, and was it Thanksgiving?
Yeah, a couple years ago. I mean, 40 seconds or whatever on the clock, and it was like, oh, this might be too much time,
Yeah, and it was with some time to spare.
Right.
So it was just like, I'm not sure I'd say that they choked or say John Harbaugh was like out coached or anything. It was a great game. So someone had to lose that one, and it turned out to be Baltimore, even though they had a 40-25 lead with 5 minutes left in the game.
Yeah.
Sounds like a choke.
It certainly, I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, like, there can never just be wins and losses, right? I mean,
right.
It's week 1 of the NFL season. I don't know. We'll see. It doesn't matter. So
week 1, let's talk about the Lions.
Yeah. Got our warm up of things.
Yeah. So it was a tough game to watch.
It was not fun. Where do you want to start, man?
Well, I think there were some good things. The list is not near as long as the bad things. Let's start with the good things. I thought believe it or not, there were some good things that came out of the game. I thought our run defense actually played really well. We stopped them on the run. That first drive, they passed a lot and they drove right down and scored. I thought throughout the game, our run defense played really well.
I would also say, from my point of view, that the defense as a whole played much better in the second half, but unfortunately the first half was quite bad. And the defense wasn't stellar in the second half, but it was better.
Correct. And even that pick six that got reversed because Rock Ya-Sin on one of his 3 snaps in the game.
Snaps.
Yeah. 3 snaps, and that was one of them.
Yeah.
And I do think that the roughing call on Hutchinson, which happened after the interception. So if Rock Ya-Sin hadn't done it, we'd have at least kept the ball, even though they would have taken the touchdown away. But I thought that was pretty weak. He was running after the dude. He wasn't in super close proximity, but he was in pursuit. And I thought and he basically bumped him. So I thought that was kind of BS, but the Rock Ya-Sin I thought was pretty egregious. That was definitely holding unnecessarily.
Oh, yeah, it was definitely, if you watch it, hey, Kathy, if you watch the replay of that penalty on Ya-Sin, he was all over the guy that he was guarding. So, it's not debatable whether or not it was a good call. It was a mugging.
And the unfortunate part is so far away from the play, it had no bearing on it. And I hate those kind of penalties,
Yeah.
Hey, Kath. So I thought our defense, especially our run defense, played really well. And to your point, the second half, I think the defense as a whole made adjustments and was able to perform quite a bit better than the first half. The other thing that I thought went really well was, hey, Jake Bates made all 3 of his field goals. So,
yeah. So, we're really.
That's his job, but
it is his job. That is true. And I'm glad that he made them. Yeah. Not everybody did this. This weekend, but in fact, Jake Moody got cut by the 49ers. So,
yeah.
So kickers are not safe, but I think we have a good kicker. I think the team is better than what they played.
For really sure. The other thing that I want to throw out on the bright spots, that catch by Isaac Tesla for the touchdown was amazing. It was a horrible throw. That is literally the definition of throw where only your guy can get it. But usually you don't have to add ... miraculously at the end of that. But that was a beautiful catch. So those were my three good things for the game. It was tough to find good things, but I think those 3 were good things.
Yeah, I'm going to look up some stuff to try and join you in the positivity.
It's hard. I thought for 2 days just to come up with those 3. So if you can find a fourth, I'm going to be pretty excited.
Yeah. So I was driving for part of this game, so I didn't get to see, I didn't get to watch all of it. And unfortunately, part of the game that I want to talk about is part of the game that I didn't see, because what I want to talk about is, I think the reason why that I think that David Montgomery is important to this offense. And let's see. So I don't have stats here, unfortunately. Oh, right, here we go. Nope. I'll go to ESPN. But in a very weird game, I think, for Jahmyr Gibbs, I don't know if Green Bay had a way of trying to keep him in check, and if they made a special effort. But like, and I know that David Montgomery only has 11 rushes for 25 yards for an average of 2.3 yards in this game. But on like a per play basis, I still think that Montgomery puts them in a better down and distance on average than Gibbs does, even though I believe Gibbs to be the more explosive player. And I think that this game highlighted all of the concerns that everybody who had concerns about anything with the Lions during the offseason, this game was quote unquote evidence of all of those things, right?
Yeah.
And we have not seen Detroit's running game be stopped like this. Now, some people will say that's a direct result of Frank Ragnow and Kevin Zeitler not being there anymore, right? Someone made the comment in here, Hatters, O-line needs to get more in sync ASAP. Well, that's not going to be, I don't think, something that is going to happen ASAP. I think that's going to be
over time,
a process that evolves, right? So even though I would love to see the results of that process as soon as possible. So the interior offensive line wasn't good. I believe that Graham Glasgow was the lowest rated offensive player per PFF. I do like Mahogany and Ratledge were not scores better by any stretch of the imagination, but in not having Frank Ragnow there is a big deal. Not trying to undermine Frank Ragnow's importance to the team, but I do think that they will get better. If not, I think that it's going to be quite a long season because I've been watching. I watched before we started the show today. I watched the first half of Bears Vikings. Those two young quarterbacks, are as adept at making plays with their legs as they are with their arms.
Right.
And Jared Goff can't do that. And like, this is the next thing that I want to bring up when it comes to like the running game didn't perform as expected, like as it did last year. Like, unless Jared Goff has everyone else around him playing well, he can't do anything to reverse that trend by himself. So like, I think that JJ McCarthy is young. I think that Caleb Williams is young. I think that Jordan Love is now past the stage that those two quarterbacks are in and has kind of settled into, I know what the offense wants me to do. I'm capable of doing it. I'm confident about that. Like, he's kind of, I think, getting towards his peak as a quarterback. I could be wrong, but I think that that's accurate. And he can make plays with his legs. And all of those things mitigate what happens when some other part of the offense isn't working correctly. And I was shocked in this game about the fact that like our pass catchers didn't get open, any of them, all game.
Yeah.
And St. Brown didn't get open. Laporta didn't get open. Like, like, even if Morton had a hand in designing this offense multiple years ago, 2-3 years ago. And even if the play calling has changed, like, it shouldn't be so unbelievably different that it's like, well, we're going to work St. Brown within somewhere between 5 to 10 yards of the line of scrimmage, and he's going to run out routes. Like, the play calling shouldn't be so different that it's like, Sam Laporta does his best when he can like do like a 10-yard in cut, into the center of the field. Like, we're going to run JMO on 9 routes some of the time, just to stretch the defense, that type of thing. And
right.
I sat there, especially in the second half, watching Jared Goff going through 2, 3, sometimes 4 looks before he would check down. And he checked down all the time. I think at one point he had 9 completions for 45 yards. Like, that's unbelievable.
So this is his spread.
Yep.
if you look at it, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them over 5 air yards. 8 out of 39 passes were over 5 air yards.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I know that they were only rushing 7 or 4 and keeping 7 back, but where's the Sam Laporta? Like, where are the slants? Where are those slants that are in that 10 to 15 range? We weren't running any of those, which was very frustrating. So we checked down a ton. It was captain check down again. And some of that, I mean, you got to give Green Bay's defense credit. They played really well. And if you look at some of the screenshots that you've seen online about like where our guys were out, and like you see all 4 guys essentially running straight forward, like 2 on the left, 2 on the right. And the Green Bay defenders are basically sitting there right with them with 2 guys deep. And you're like, where's he going to go? So some of it, I think, is just poor play calling and poor scheming. But also, like, I just don't. I'm a little nervous. Like, this is only game 1. I think the biggest thing that this showed me was we need to play our guys some number of snaps in the preseason. So Joe Burrow played, Patrick Mahomes played, like a lot of critical starters played in the preseason. And I think this is the second year in a row we've come out slow. Last year we had to, we barely squeaked by LA in overtime. Then we lost game 2 against Tampa Bay. And I think not having those reps in the preseason, I don't expect them to play a whole game or even half of a game, but maybe a couple series, shake off that rust. I don't know.
I'm going to push back. So gauging the response by other players who have come into the Detroit Lions and played, and when asked about how the Lions practice compared to how their previous teams practiced, they say there's no comparison. The Lions practice so much harder than the teams they used to play for. That it seems like it's a near consensus from incoming players that the Lions practice much harder than at least however many teams they're coming from. Like at some point, like it's right. It's going to keep going up. At this point, let me just start with Goff, I guess. Like at this point, I don't think if Jared Goff gets a couple of series against 2s in whatever preseason game it is, that he's shaking off rust. I don't believe that what Green Bay did to Detroit on Sunday is replicable in the preseason. So I don't know how it helps in a situation when you actually have to go out there and play against other ones. When it comes to the offense, the interior of the offensive line, that's where we had the most turnover in any unit any position group that we have on the team this year.
Yep. 60% of our starters on that unit.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a big percentage. They sure did look rusty, but like I don't believe that the O-line would go from how they looked on Sunday to competent starters across those 3 guys if they had 30 snaps in the preseason, however many series that is. Let's say it's 3 series, 3 series of 10 snaps a piece or whatever. Like, I don't know, or 1 series, who knows? Like, I hear what you're saying, right? They looked bad. What is a potential solution to that? You're right. That could be a potential solution. I watched Cincinnati's game where they played Joe Burrow against, I believe it was Washington in the preseason. They didn't look good.
Right.
And like Joe Burrow and like at least I'll say the Cincinnati offense, not Joe Burrow specifically, the Cincinnati offense didn't look good in week 1. Like they did play in the preseason. So, I mean,
yeah.
I would rather personally not have the risk of injury to a starter for however many snaps opportunities existed for them to play to knock off the rust, even if it means they look like this. This was week 1 against a division rival on the road.
Not just a division rival, a playoff team
like
from last year and a playoff / division hopeful this year.
Well, I mean, so Joseph makes some good points here, but like, if we're talking about the interior of the offensive line, like the secondary, which we all thought would be really good and like a strength of the defense this year, was abysmal in the first half of this game. I mean, they were truly awful. Like, and it's not just Terry and Arnold; it was DJ Reed. You know, like, I love Brian Branch, but the fuck are you doing with your unsportsmanlike conduct penalty? That's just discipline, man.
Yeah,
like that wasn't like, oh, I held a guy, or like I accidentally grabbed his face mask or some shit. Like, that was, you didn't have to do that and you chose to do it. And like, I like him. I love him. I think he's the second best defensive player on the team. And this shit has to stop. Like, he does some of this stuff from time to time and he never gets called out for it. And it's detrimental, you know? And like, yeah, so the play that Goff threw that pick on, if I'm remembering it right, it is almost like you put your foot in the ground and you rip the ball out, right? And that, for whatever reason, lots of teams run it. And I hate it because if a defender is in zone, which they almost all are more than 50% of the time now, if they read the fact that you are doing this and they read the receiver, and when he starts this break, they can break on the ball and get in front of it. You know, and like, I just don't like the play call, I suppose. But like,
I was really just, I mean, his play the whole game was pretty.
I don't know what else he could have done. I mean, like, there were some plays he didn't have time, right?
Yep, that's true. Our offensive line did not do him any favors, right?
Didn't do him any favors. Like, I mean, I watched like Lucas Van Ness straight up bull rush Taylor Decker. Almost did it again. You know, I watched Penei Sewell get beat, you know, a couple times. Not a lot, but more than. I wouldn't say that Goff played fine.
No, I thought he played. I thought his decision making was poor. His mobility was poor.
Yeah,
his accuracy wasn't particularly good. He did not, like he always does. He doesn't let plays develop. He held the ball. His average time to throw was nearly 3 seconds. The 9th longest time to throw in the NFL.
So I'm gonna put a different spin on it. So I don't think there was anywhere for him to go with the ball.
Well, so here's a good example. This is not the one, the video. This is the video. Why isn't it videoing? Let me see if I can find it.
All right.
So now we got the video. So let's make this bigger. All right. So the way that I see it is he's not watching. Let me pause it so I can just. We got Laporta coming across the middle. We've got a good pocket. He throws it. If he even throws it when he's cutting, it's wide open. I think he's just not reading the defenses. He's not understanding what's going on. He's not processing it quick enough because he played scared and he looked scared. To me, he looked scared the entire time. And I'm just like, if he starts his throw, he's looking at him, right? He's looking this direction. So he's got to see him coming across. He knows what the play is. The pocket's starting to collapse, but the ball should be out by now. That ball should be right here on the way into that. Like, those are the things that drove me nuts. And then he's just sitting there, no one near him. He could be still running with the ball. I saw that a lot on Sunday. And I will say, like, the offensive line didn't give him a ton of time. And the annoying thing was this tweet was really showing, like, oh, look at how the pressure that he received. I'm like, if he read it even remotely close, the pressure wouldn't have mattered because the pocket was there. There's a perfect pocket right here and a guy coming across the middle. And I'm just like, don't blame this particular play on the O line. This was not the O line. This was just not reading the defense and not getting the ball out quickly on this particular play. And I saw a lot of this. It super frustrated me.
What's the down and distance on this play?
No idea.
Okay, so if it's 3rd and 10, then throwing it to Laporta doesn't matter.
I mean, it's better than a sack, and he had nobody near him, and he could run.
Well, he can't run.
3rd and 10.
He doesn't
7.5 yards.
He doesn't run. Like the idea that Jared Goff would run for which last year
no. Laporta would run. Like if he throws and he catches that ball right here on the run, he's easily making a 10-yard play. The line of scrimmage is here, right? So he's got to get to here. That's an easy first down if he makes that play.
I also see 56 on Green Bay just sitting there watching it,
doing nothing.
No,
Laporta ran and stopped. What's that?
I mean, if Jared Goff lets the ball go to Laporta, that dude is breaking on him immediately. That is not nothing. That's guarding Sam Laporta in zone.
Well, no, I get that, but like he's sitting there, not moving, right? Laporta is moving.
I mean, what do you want? Where do you want 56 to run? I mean, he has a zone coverage, and Sam Laporta comes into his zone, runs across his zone, and then because the other defender is moving away, it becomes his guy, and he has to take him effectively in man in his zone. I get that. Guarding. That's pass defense from a linebacker. That's fine. No,
yes, and that would have if it was a 3rd and 10 or if that was a 10-yard situation. I think that's probably a first down or real close.
To me, what this play reads like. First of all, I don't like Benjamin Solak. Like,
I don't even know who tweeted it. So
yeah, that's who tweeted it. So. Because I read it when you clicked on it. But when you're right, he can hit Laporta here, right? Unless I know the down and distance, like it might not be like a worthwhile.
If it's 3rd and 20, maybe he's looking for a longer shot. Right?
Yeah, who knows? I mean, who knows what it was?
Yeah,
but this play is like kind of indicative of what I saw the whole game, which is that Goff just had nowhere to go with the ball. So I don't know why.
Yeah.
But he sure did throw it short a ton, right? Which to me says at those numbers that Green Bay is doing something to prevent him from throwing it to the areas that he's good at throwing it to, which is intermediate middle, right? Yep. And I think that what that one play showed was, 56 is back in zone, 15 yards off the ball, and then the other linebacker is doing the same thing, So I think that if someone who with all 22 footage or whatever, who knows how to analyze tape or whatever, looked at it, I wouldn't be surprised if they said Green Bay played a lot of deep middle zone in this and tried to take away Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta from the offense, which is who Jared Goff throws the ball to 3/4 of the time. So
feels like it.
It does, because
hey, if that's your best dude and he's going to be your best option, go to the best option, right?
So a lot of teams, I think, if you hear the too high safety approach, the Vic Fangio defense or whatever, a lot of people or D coordinators will simply play that defense and then just be like, here's our high shell. You're not going to be able to do this. And then Detroit beats them up underneath. Right.
Yeah.
And no one seems to want to double team Amon-Ra St. Brown, but he was only targeted 6 times through 3/4 or 5 times through 3/4 or something like that. And it's just they just weren't targeting the ball. They weren't targeting. I mean, I think that Jared Goff, when you listen to coaches and like people who watch the Lions speak about Jared Goff, they don't say that there's a lack of like being able to read a defense or a lack of like processing speed or anything like that. In fact, they say that that's one of his strengths. Like I think one of his big minus as a quarterback in this league currently is that he's one of the least athletic quarterbacks that starts for an NFL roster. You know, he's a Tom Brady, Peyton Manning style quarterback. He's a pocket passer only. He doesn't beat you with his legs in any way, shape, or form. And like, if Green Bay did something to take away the middle of the field and force him to try and throw to where he's uncomfortable throwing the ball, I could see him behaving like I watched him behave on Sunday. Like that was my first thought, was that like Green Bay's done something different than what most teams did when they played the Lions last year.
Yeah.
You know, which is to
I was
take
trying
away
to
what
find some more of those screenshots where they were, I think there's probably all 22 footage because the camera was up and back.
Yeah.
And you could see like where our guys were on the routes and
Mhm.
where the defenders were. And it was like our guys were, their defender was right on top of our guys. And then they had two other free safeties just sitting back there. So JMO couldn't take the top off things. And I'm just like, oh man, like are our guys not running smooth routes? Are our schemes, are we not, scheming it correctly? Are we not seeing pre-snap what the defense is and changing it to be a little more advantageous for us? Like I just don't understand why they were able to blanket us every time we've tried to throw the ball.
Yeah.
And this is, to me, another one of those examples of questionable play calling. I know this is usually like, it's a coordinator problem. And they're like, they circle the guards here, letting this guy through and focusing over here. But I also was questioning that play. Like, why are we trying to run the ball on the 1 foot line? I think we did it twice in a row. And I'm like,
yeah,
why?
That, to me, that read, we give up. Like, I hated it, and it's like, I don't know what the score was and how much time was on the clock when this play was called.
This is clearly a miscommunication and misunderstanding. And I don't know if Laporte is swinging in to take this guy and just got a slow jump, or if it was strictly a miscommunication between Sewell and Mahogany here. Mahogany?
No, Glasgow.
Or
it's Ratledge. That's Ratledge. Mahogany,
yeah, Glasgow's over here. Yeah, so like I don't know if it was some sort of miscommunication between the interior, or if he just didn't swing appropriately or whatnot. But like I still just the play call itself just completely flummoxed me.
Yeah, I will give you that. Like there were plays where I was just like, oh, this doesn't feel, and maybe that's the difference between Morton and Johnson, is that we're going to have to wait to see what his play calling style is over the course of, more than one game, right?
Yeah.
So
it's early. It's one game. Is the sky falling? No, but it looks a little
I mean, it was not good
there. So if we do the same thing against Chicago and lay another egg and start 0-2 against two division opponents, then I'm going to start getting concerned. But one game against a team that has Super Bowl aspirations and division championship aspirations in their place, it is what it is. Not a lot of good to take from it, but it's behind us.
Yeah. There is one other thing I want to kind of discuss here about this game that really bothered me.
Yeah.
And that was, I believe the Lions were credited with 6 pressures.
Hutch had half of them.
That's awful for him.
Well, he was getting doubled and tripled like every play. And I'm like, why isn't somebody else getting through if he's getting all the attention?
Well, I can answer that question for you. It's because there is no one else.
Like there were other players there, right?
No, stop. I mean, like I know what you're doing because you and I are friends and we talk all the time. But like, they might not, right? Like chat might not, but like this was my concern. So like last season, Aiden Hutchinson plays like the first 6 games of the season against backup right tackles, right? Well, this season, the right tackle that he plays against first is a really good one in Zach Tom. And I would, whatever the weaker tackle is, that's the side that I'd play Hutch on, you know? And
Yep.
And I don't know how much they move him around. I haven't looked into it, but like this is also the thing that I've been saying about the Lions defensive line and how they want to play is that they want to create a wall between the other 3 defensive linemen, and they want to make that wall stay in one place so that Aiden can just go get the quarterback. Here's my problem is that might work when like a quarterback holds the ball 3+ seconds, right? The longer the quarterback holds the ball, the better it is for us. But when a quarterback is able to effectively get the ball out quickly, 2.5 seconds or less, there's almost no pass rusher in the league that's going to get there on time. And it doesn't matter that your wall gets set up or not because the ball is out by the time it matters. So noise could have certainly been a factor, BD Buster, for sure. My thing is Zadarius Smith is in Philadelphia now. That's not an option.
Yeah.
You signed a bunch of guys on like the 51st, 2nd, and 53rd spot to the defensive line. They are clearly at the bottom of the depth chart, and some of them are hurt and weren't suited up for this game. You know, and like I think the other guys that we signed in the offseasons on the interior of the defensive line are good players. Roy Lopez, Pat O'Connor. But like they're backups to the interior of the defensive line. And like if there is a failing in the way that I think that Brad Holmes has constructed the team, it's that there has not been, I mean, I would say almost zero attention to like generating a pass rush from 4 players. Now, does this change when Aleem McNeil comes back? Maybe, you know.
Yeah, I noticed that a couple times too, Joseph. I'm like, where's Hutch on that? And you see him drop back. I'm like, why?
I mean, his rookie year, he had 2 picks, right? And that was like, people were like, oh my God, were they trying to replicate something like that? Like dropping guys into coverage flummoxed Love last season. But at this point, like at the point they were doing it in the game, I was like, you need to get him on the ground. You need to get the ball out of his hands. You need to move him off a spot or change his arm angle or something. Like you need to do something to make him uncomfortable. And they simply just never did.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what I will say is when we go in Chicago, or I don't know if it's on the road or not.
It's home.
Okay. So when Chicago comes to Detroit next week, what I want to see is David Montgomery starting the game on offense and setting up the down and distance so that Jahmyr Gibbs, I mean, but like he wasn't even making guys miss. Like that's the thing that was concerning to me was that he beat an edge defender for a first down early in the game. But otherwise, either the way they used him or what they were like, where they were putting him in space, he just didn't have the space, or Green Bay played too well, or what, you know, or something, because he was just not a threat. You know, which is a surprise because he's basically been a threat every time that he was on the field in his career up until this point. So we went down
to one. Going to look at. Let's take a look at the box score real quick. PFF's great when it comes to all the grades and the analytics and metrics, but the actual box score raw stats, they don't
care as much about that. Yeah.
All right, Jameson Williams. He had 1 rushing attempt for 3 yards. And 4 receptions for 23 yards.
Yeah.
His longest was 11. So the other 3 combined for 12. By the way, congratulations to Jameson Williams. On the eve of the game, he got his big extension.
We haven't talked about that, yeah.
Yeah, 3 years, $83 million, something, $89 million, something like $29 million a year or something, right?
27.7 was the number I saw.
27.7, okay. So almost $28 million a year.
Yeah.
I think it was $83 million, which was about $1 million per catch in his career. I think he has 83 catches in his career, or something like that. So well done, but he was a non-factor.
Everybody in
this game
on the offense was
Amon-Ra St. Brown only had 45 yards, 4 receptions for 45 yards. He was a non-factor. Sam Laporta had 6 receptions for 79 yards with a 32-yard long. He was the only partial factor, I guess. I mean, when you say he's a factor, I mean, almost 100 yards, you turn into factor area.
Yeah, for a tight end, yeah.
For a tight end, 79 yards, that's pretty good. But like, it was, I mean, looking at these numbers, it's, I know Goff ended up with 225, 1 touchdown, 1 reception. But even the 225, at the end, I'm like, he had that many?
Right.
How did that happen? Because it just didn't feel like it at all. So it was really, really disappointing. Did you feel the tone? I felt the tone change when David Montgomery was in there. Like, I felt like we did more. I know his average wasn't any better than Gibbs's average.
No.
But, like, it seemed like we just played angrier and we got a little bit more push when he was out there. But, like, statistically, it just didn't seem to do any different.
So that was like the one huge sustained drive I think they had like in the second quarter, where they basically used him pretty much the entire drive. Yeah. And the thing, okay, so this is the one I was listening to on the Roar the Lions UK streamcast. But that drive compared to the other ones, and I didn't watch it, felt like second and 7, 3rd and 2, first down. It was
productive.
2nd and 6, they got a defensive holding call, first down. Pass, 4-yard pass to Laporta, run it for 4 yards, run it for 2 yards, first down, like that kind of stuff. And like, if the offense is struggling in these different respects early in the season, then do that to give them a sustained drive or effective down and distance where your play caller has more options, your quarterback might get in rhythm, you might flip field position. Like, it's so I love explosive plays. Jahmyr Gibbs is very good at them. I can't wait to get some of that stuff this season. Do it after you get your dessert after your meat and potatoes. Like, get up by 10 points and then do that shit. Like, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Were you surprised that we elected to kick? We win the toss and we elected to kick?
That is certainly different than what he did last year. Last year, I think they won something like 13 out of 17 coin flips. And I believe that he elected to receive in all of them.
When I was talking with my dad when we were watching the game, and he's like, we're kicking off, so we must have won the coin toss. I'm like, I mean, that doesn't sound like us. And then it turns out, yeah, we won the coin toss. And my dad's like, most teams want to start the ball, with the ball in the second half. And that way you can, you're closer to the end and you can make some, difference that way. And I get that. But we are not a team that plays well from behind. And right from the kick, I'm like, I would have chosen to keep the ball. Like, take it, do what we can, get a lead. And then, of course, they marched down and scored a touchdown. I'm like, this does not bode well because we just don't play well from behind. I kind of use a car as my analogy, right? Like,
Sure.
who is the engine of the offense? What is the engine of the offense? And for us, it's not the quarterback; it's the run game. I think our run game is the engine of our offense. I think our offensive line is the chassis and the body, right, of the car. And Goff is a great driver when the car's running well.
Mm-hmm.
The four wheels, JMO and St. Brown and Laporta and, Tesla now. Like, when the wheels are running, the body's good, the engine's going, like, he can drive that car really well. He drove it to a first in yards, first in points last year. But he's not the engine of our team. When you look at elite quarterbacks, like, what's the engine in Kansas City? It's Patrick Mahomes. What's the engine in Buffalo? It's Josh Allen. What's the engine in Cincinnati? It's Joe Burrow.
All right.
What's the engine in LA? It's like, he's just not that guy. And so the tough part is when you're playing from behind and your engine is the run game, it's just the slowest way to catch up. Running the ball is the slowest way to catch up in those kind of situations. So that's why we like to play from behind, or like we want to play from ahead.
Yeah.
And as soon as we kicked off and we got down, I'm like, well, that's all right. Let's come back and do this thing. And then it was a couple really rough, 3 and out-ish types of things. I'm a little nervous. So hopefully we win a coin toss, take the ball, and go get a lead, because we just play so much better with a lead.
Yeah, certainly. It certainly seems like game one has gone against type, right?
Yeah.
And when it comes to playing Chicago next week, I mean, the thing that I'm looking for is, can the Lions establish the run? Is it we're trying to establish the run and can't, and we need to take things back a notch? Like Dan Campbell in one of his press conferences says that he felt like he put too much on the plate of Ratledge and Mahogany off the bat. So do we just take a step back from where we started and quote unquote dumb shit down for those guys, right? Like, as far as the run game is concerned, like, those guys have both
get angry, push forward, and go.
Right. Like, just go kill a dude, right? Like, maybe do that. And if and the Bears have improved their defensive line, and I'm watching them play against the Vikings, and the Vikings, the Packers, and the Bears, all of them don't look like the Lions. The other 3 teams in the division look like they are playing NFL ready football, and the Lions don't. So the only place that you can put that on is coaching. That is the only place that you can put the blame for that, So I don't know. Like, to me, the place to start, the identity of this team is to be physical and to run the ball. So if you can't do that against the Bears, I don't know how you expect to do it against almost anybody this season. So that's the thing I'm looking for the most next game is, can you establish the running game? I don't care who it is. Like, can either guy run effectively, like 3-4 yards a carry? So, but not a lot of good to take away from this one.
Yeah, and I read something, and I could be wrong, just because it's on the internet doesn't make it true. But I did read something that said something like only one team in NFL history has changed both coordinators the same offseason and made the playoffs that next year.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I'm like, I keep trying to look for that and validate that. Whether it's true or not, I think it's really hard to make those, both of the leaders, your offense, your 2 of the 3 schemes can change, and all of tendencies, all that kind of stuff can change, continuity. As much as we tried to keep them relatively consistent, Shep, being a internal guy that we promoted, John Morton, formerly with the team, worked with Ben and Dan before. So we tried to keep some of that continuity, but 2 coordinators in one off season is pretty rough, and most teams don't survive that first year. So I will keep digging and see if I can actually find the real number on that. But that was both surprising and unsurprising. There weren't too many that actually had that happen, by the way. So looks like only about 4 teams since the year 2000, us being one of them, have actually lost both coordinators the same offseason. So,
yeah, I don't know how I feel about it.
Cincinnati lost Jay Gruden and Mike Zimmer in 2013, made the playoffs in 2014.
I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest. So, I mean, like, does the stat carry a bunch of weight? And, like, you know, to me, like, if you said something like teams with a turnover differential of like -3 or -2.1 or whatever it is over the course of a season, had like one of 685 of those teams made the playoffs, I'd be like, okay, that makes sense. Like, the other team has more opportunities to score points, you know?
Right.
If the coordinator thing is as solid as that, and it's been proven out over time, I would be on board. But like, then what I would expect is that all incoming coordinators to those teams would also basically be like, oh, that's terrible because they have an incoming coordinator, you know? Like, so why would anyone hire new coordinators? You know, and because they'd be punting on the season, right? Or at least if you're going to do 2 of them in the same season.
Well, in fairness, we didn't have a choice.
Correct.
That's the tough part.
Right.
It's not like they were fired and they're like, oh, we made that choice. I mean, but yeah, anyway, I thought that was interesting. I'm still trying to validate the authenticity and the accuracy of said statement. So I don't know if that was in the history of the NFL in the last 10 years. I don't really know. But continuity is a big thing. When you look, we talked about that in the past, right? When you look at the most successful franchises, the Steelers and the Patriots, the Colts, when like Peyton Manning and that group was there, like the Steelers have had 2 coaches in the last 40 years or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, the Patriots didn't have much turnover in their coaching structures. So when they did leave, they came back. But I think we've done a pretty good job to build a good culture where we can bring somebody new in. They know what's expected of them. I don't think, Dan and Brad are going to bring somebody in that's not good. Chicago wanted Morton, right? Ben wanted Morton to come to Chicago and be his offensive coordinator. He's like, nah.
Sean Payton too.
Yeah. So like, we know the guy's good. 2 other teams wanted him. So we'll see. It's early.
Yeah, and that's ultimately the takeaway here. Like, losing is not fun, and like, you get addicted to winning quickly, right? You know, and the Lions do
Can't win them all if you don't win the first. That's a real bummer.
It's a good point. Hard to argue. You know, but 85. Well, I mean, like, to be honest, like, I know the exact percentage. Like, 68% of the team is the same team that took the field last year, and I'm like, if you want to talk about starters, it's like 95% or some crazy number, basically. And like, the things that I would look for is, let's get TeSlaa on the field. Like, they played Khalif Raymond, like, by the way, who needs to return kicks, not just punts.
I did not understand why he was not doing that. I don't get it.
Listen, Grant Stewart is a fine backup linebacker. I've never heard of a linebacker returning kicks before. He's a core special teamer, whatever. Put the all-pro who does it back there. I don't understand this. Like, he should be returning both. I don't want him in the game over Isaac TeSlaa at this point. Like, I think that Isaac TeSlaa should be starting and getting like near starter level reps. Like, let's put the kid out there. He's big, he's fast, he has good hands. I'm kind of jacked for him at this point. If Dan Campbell takes the play calling duties away from John Morton is getting fired. That is the sad reality of that that change. Like it happened with Anthony Lynn in the first season of the team when Dan took play calling duties away and then eventually gave him to Ben Johnson. And he took it over for himself. I think they're in concert with Ben or whatever, like through the rest of that season. But like,
yeah,
that he is getting fired if they take away the play calling duties. Like he is there to call plays. They are going to give him a leash, a pretty wide one, I would imagine, considering how badly they wanted him to come in and understanding this is your first time calling plays. You got to grow into it. The difference between John Morton and the other and Kelvin Shepard and like even Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn back in the day is like there was no time for John Morton to grow into this role with the team. Right.
Yeah.
So like he hasn't had like he's a rookie when it comes to calling plays and like being on this roster, coaching roster with the team. So I mean, even like this first year that they were going to let Ben be like an offensive coordinator, like they went to the Senior Bowl and he got to coach like that team for the week or whatever. And like they started developing Ben and AG and some of their other guys immediately. And like Morton just hasn't had an opportunity like to go through that yet. And like they know that. I think they're going to give him a lot of slack, and like I still think that they still think the team is super talented. This my 15-2 prediction really took a shot this weekend. But like you still can lose one more.
If we lay another egg against Chicago, I'm not sure what we're going to do against Baltimore and Cincy and Kansas City and Philadelphia and Washington. Like we have a tough slate, so we need to get our poop in a group.
Right. Let's not try and make that popular. That's but like to me this is right. This what this says is like the offense and defense to me right now don't have identity. Right? So like what did the defense do well? Well, not much. I mean, they got to be not bad at stuff. Well, like okay, so Hatters makes a good point. Let me highlight this point here real quick. We better beat the Bears or I'm pressing the panic button. Why? So, I mean, I understand, right? People want to come out of the game, out of the gate, winning, right? So I've been told that Cincinnati is really good by fucking NFL media and everybody else, right? 0-2 in the division's bad. Okay. I agree.
If anything, speaking of Cincinnati, what they showed last year, slow starts hurt you.
Yeah, sink ships
when you try to complete, right?
Yeah. However, they lost out on a playoff berth because of tiebreakers, right? They finished 9-8. 0-2 doesn't guarantee that you miss the playoffs. It might guarantee that you don't win the division, right? But like this division had 3 teams go to the playoffs from it last year. However, the Lions have started 1-1 the last 3 years, right? Okay, so there you go.
And 2 of those years we won the division, so it's all good.
So I'm not going to say that the result would make me push the panic button if the Lions do things and they establish something that makes them look more like the team that had success last year. Like if they come out against the Bears and they establish the running game and like the passing game looks, you're hitting St. Brown and Laporta and that kind of stuff, and like you're finding ways to be effective, and you lose the game, I would still be like, okay, I think they're figuring this thing out. Let's see what week 3 looks like. And then if they go off and they win 4 straight or whatever it is, like if they start to like win football games, then I'll be like, okay, like this isn't the season that we'd all hope for, but I think we're heading down the right track. Like this team has a ton of talent on it. I still think that we're in the playoff hunt, that type of thing, so I will be upset if we don't win because I don't like the Bears.
And 1 game doesn't make a season, and neither does 2.
Right. Exactly.
But it does start a trend. So you need to buck that trend as quickly as possible.
Right. So 0-2 against going into the Ravens game looks bad. It sure looks bad. I don't know.
It would be really rough to try to not be 0-3.
okay, so like here's my question. Like if they lose to the Bears, but like the defense plays well, the offense shows signs of life, like I don't know that really quote unquote looks bad. The result's bad, right?
It all depends on how they lose. Do they lose ugly, or do they lose through a fluke, maybe a kick return fumble that they, which is a free 6, 7 points for the other team. And if we lose in the same manner that we did here, like we just haven't improved, our offensive line has not gotten any better, our run game hasn't gotten any better, our boring, predictable play calling hasn't changed. Like if we continue to do that, then I'm a little nervous, because I don't think that that's a huge change from like, all right, 2 really bad games with no improvement to go against a Baltimore team that probably gonna just wax us. Now we're starting 0-3. Then you do start getting nervous. But the good news is we would have the Browns there for a feel good moment, I think, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, the vaunted Bengals had a really hard time with them, right? So I mean, the Browns held them to just over 100 passing yards, and if they had not missed a field goal, extra point, and thrown 2 picks, any one of those 4 things that had happened, they'd won. All I'm saying is that I think Cleveland might be not terrible on defense, but like, and if Detroit's offense is anemic, like that game goes from being like we're going to crush this bad team to like, well, this might move. Is this going to be whoever has the field, like gets the last chance at a field goal?
Right.
That kind of win 9-6 kind of a scenario, that kind of stuff. Like here's the problem I have with the way that the Lions roster right now is that they should be crushing people. Right? They should be crushing people, and they don't.
Well, again, it's one game, so
right.
It's not a trend. It's a single data point. You can't get a trend of any kind until you get a second data point, right? So I think you're right. I think we should have. I wouldn't even say that we should have crushed Green Bay. They're a good team. I think our team was capable of beating them, but I don't think that would have been a team that we would crush. I think we're probably better enough against Chicago that we should crush them at home. We should beat them by more than a score.
Yeah, I mean, this is.
I'm not sure I'm betting on it yet, but
well, this is the team that I think we're 5-1 against in the last 3 years.
Yeah,
I mean, what is really different about the team that they have? Their young players got a little bit older. They traded for Micah Parsons like 13 days ago, and they drafted a wide receiver for the first time in the first round in like 26 years, or something crazy like that. So I mean,
wait for Aaron to leave.
Yeah, they had to wait for Aaron to leave.
And that son of a bitch ended up winning too. One of my good friends is a Steelers fan. He's like, I'm kind of stuck. He's like, I don't feel like I can root for the Steelers while Aaron Rodgers is there, and I don't know what to do.
I mean, now, I guess I'm tired of talking about this game, but like, certainly not what I wanted to see. The way that I've described it all week was like, if this was all the things that people were worried about, they all came true.
Yeah.
In this game. So, I mean, like, I have a hard time believing that this team could go from as good as it was last year to as bad as it was this first game, because their center and right guard left. If that's the case, then Jesus Christ, like, they don't deserve to be a playoff team. I love Frank Ragnow. Kevin Zeitler's really good. But like, if the team cannot overcome the loss of a center and a right guard, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, at some point, I mean, do you like if Ragnar's playing as bad as he has been? Like, I mean, has been single data point, but like if he continues playing that poorly, do you call Frank up? I'm like, dude, I know you're with your family right now, but God, I've got some millions here for you. What are you doing on Sunday?
I don't think he's playing again.
I doubt it.
I mean, you can make the call, but like, so my problem with what Frank Ragnow's retirement is that according to Frank Ragnow, they'd had conversations. He'd had conversations with the Lions about this might be an eventuality for me sooner rather than later, like back in the spring.
Yeah, before the draft.
Before the draft, right? And so my issue with what Ragnow chose to do was the fucking timing of it. Like, he's doing what's best for him, great. But like, he chose a terrible time to do it for the team. And and like as you and I have discussed, like I've heard from sources that I trust that like I believe that Tate Ratledge is probably this team's long-term center of the future starting next season. Like, it sounds like he's going to continue to be cross-trained. He's the size of the player that they want at the position. They drafted Miles Frazier. He's played exclusively right guard at LSU his whole collegiate career. He'll come back from injury. He'll have an offseason in the weight room, get up to speed. Maybe they move Mahogany to right. Glasgow will be off the line, that kind of thing. But like, the line is not done evolving. And like, eventually Decker will retire as well, or his play will drop off or something. And like, you're right back here again. So like, you had better find a way to have some kind of foundational piece, and it's got to be around Penny Sewell.
Yeah.
Right. So like, he's the all-world talent. So I mean, I would line David Montgomery up and run him off the right side of the line, and I would start Isaac TeSlaa, and I would go 11 personnel. Let's go. And see where that gets you. And if that doesn't get you anywhere, then drawing board time. I mean, what else are you going to do?
Do you think you move Tate to center? Do you think he's going to be center before the end of the season?
If they are out of the playoff picture, I would move him. But until that is a mathematical certainty, I would not change.
Even if Glasgow continues to be the worst graded player on our offense? Like, is there a point where like had 4 or 5 games in a row like that? Do you go like, Jesus?
If you had to guess who the worst player is on offense before the game started, who would you have guessed is the worst player on offense?
I would have guessed probably Mahogany.
Okay. So like, you would have thought
one of the 2 young guys, right? Either Tate or Mahogany, just being where he was at. And Glasgow's played pretty good at the guard position, and he's not Frank Ragnow by any means, but like, he was backup quality at the center when he had to fill in for Frank every so often. So I would have guessed one of the young guys.
So Glasgow had a grade last year at left guard of 57 per PFF. So like,
not good.
I mean, like, and like, certainly game 1 as a center doesn't look any better, right?
Yeah,
but he's clearly the worst offensive lineman on the team last year of the starters. And like, I personally don't expect him to outplay either of the rookies based upon the way that Mahogany played in the 2 games that he played last year, or the fact that Ratledge seemed like I mean, if you draft a guard in the 2nd round, like, that's as soon as you should be drafting most of them. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't think he's a pillar.
Yeah. So, pass blocking.
Yep.
So, Graham Glasgow's overall offensive grade was a 43.6. Mm-hmm. Miserable. What do you think his pass block grade was?
Well, I looked at it earlier.
It's a 71.9. It was the 2nd best pass block grade on our team. His run block grade was a 34.4. And that was real bad, but which was the worst on our team. I was actually kind of surprised with a 43.6 overall that his pass block was going to be that high.
Yeah, I the Lions have always wanted their linemen to be quote unquote better at pass blocking than at run blocking. I know that sounds weird considering how much of an emphasis they put on the running game. But like when you look at the guys that they gave, yeah, I noticed that too. Joseph, I noticed that too. That was crazy. But like, here's the thing with Hutch. Like Hutch just has zero help. He has zero help from any place. Like DJ Reader is not going to rush the passer. How did Tyleek Williams score in this game? You know, like Davenport is not asked to rush the passer. He's an edge setter. Like he has zero help. Like unless they blitz.
Tyleek was a 48.7.
Yeah,
third worst on defense.
So I mean, like rookie, number one, right? He's a rookie.
Yep.
Being asked to start because of the injury to McNeil, who's much better than that kind of thing, you know, but like,
yeah,
you know, like other teams have injury concerns and they still play well. Like that's my concern with the team is not that they are injured, although I would prefer that everybody be healthy. My concern with the team is that like, I think that some of the like moves in the offseason that were or weren't made could have led to like some of these problems being mitigated to a degree, you know, or are they basically saying like Hutch has to get this done by himself until McNeil comes back and then plays himself into, you know, game shape. And then we're punting for a large part on portions of the offense this season. Because, I mean, I'll put it not like Ragnow retired late, and we had to scramble to put 3 starting caliber offensive linemen together faster than we wanted to. And so here you go, kids. Here's the deep end of the pool, you know, or whatever. But there's too much of that, you know, on the team. And like, I want to be hopeful and like drink the Kool-Aid on this kind of stuff. That's why I thought that like, the way that they matched up at teams would be good. Like I didn't see any of the splitting Jahmyr Gibbs out, you know, and then giving him the ball. Like it was just like, he was just the guy in the check down spot. And I'm like, you're not using Jahmyr Gibbs the way that Christian McCaffrey gets used that made him so effective as effectively like another slot receiver. He's the outlet guy, you know? So like, and by the way, whether it's college or the pros, if I ever see another like horizontal pass 35 yards to a fucking wide receiver like on the outside hash who's then supposed to make a dude miss when one other wide receiver is blocking in front of him, I'm going to throw up in my mouth. That play only works when it's like Cincinnati against Boston College in college football, and the difference in talent at those 2 particular spots makes it worthwhile. It does not work when the talent level and the athleticism talent washes out on both sides of the ball at the highest level of the sport. And I hate it. I hate it so much. Like the only thing that NFL teams should be allowed to do is run straight towards the end zone that you're trying to score in and nothing else. It bothers me so much. So like, I am so sick of like, if you're going to do that, just hand the ball off to one of the running backs. It never works. So, and I just see too much of it. Like, throw the ball forward. That's how you're going to get first downs. That's how you're going to get big plays.
So before we close out, kind of curious what your thoughts were on this.
So this
Eagles traded for Tank Bigsby. They got Jags received a 5th and 6th round picks, and I'm not exactly sure why they made this play.
Okay, so here's why they did it. Jacksonville's not playing him, and let me just look at Bigsby here for a second, because
I mean a 5th and a 6th is not nothing.
Yes,
and you've got obviously Saquon Barkley as your main man, and as far as I know, he's not hurt. I I'm not sure why you would trade. I mean, maybe a 7th or something, or maybe a 6th, but to give up 2 kind of blew my mind.
I think that those are 2 draft picks that for the Eagles are relatively worthless and like used primarily for reasons like this. Like this is how they use their picks on players. So like, let's see, roster, halfback, Tank Bigsby. This is his 3rd season in the NFL, right?
Yep.
Okay. So he is 6 foot 213. The Eagles have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL, have had for years, right? They have Saquon Barkley, right? So Saquon did Saquon have 2,000 yards last season on the ground?
He did 2005, I believe.
So like you have a very clear number 1, right?
Yep.
Now, he might be a little bit stockier of a back that they want for like, we need 3rd and 1, and you don't want to run Saquon Barkley into those all year, or they have some specific reason, like minute reason, like we want him in this alignment on the tush push because he does this thing well, or whatever it is. He's a blocker, or he's got good hands, or he's an excellent pass blocker from the running back position. I don't know what it is about Tank Bigsby, but they want it. But here's what I saw when I heard about this trade, and I saw the compensation. This is the Eagles using day 3 picks that don't matter to their active roster, who are taking lottery shots on rookies who may not make their roster, trading for a guy who is not being used by his current team. Let me see. Where do they take Bigsby? He was a 3rd round pick. He was the 89th selection in his draft year 3 years ago. So like he's a top 100 player who's buried on a depth chart, not being utilized by his current team. I would make that call and say, hey, GM of Jacksonville, do you plan to use this guy ever? What's the problem with him? Would you accept A or B for this player? Now, I will say trading 2 picks for him is what leads me to believe that they actually really want him on their roster. I don't think those picks mean anything to the Eagles, because Howie Roseman is, in my opinion, the best at trading for value, especially during the draft in the NFL. Like there's nobody that's better when it comes to getting values for his draft picks. So when he makes a move like this, what I look at is like, what I try to say is like, what do I think Howie Roseman sees as the value in trading what he did for this player? And so what I think he did was he went out and said, I'm willing to give up a 5th and 6th rounder next year to get what I appear to be a player who's undervalued by his current team, who I think for our team will shine as a backup in this role if the scenario A, B, and C were to happen. That's what I think is. I don't think he will see play, in front of Saquon unless it's something like 3rd and 1, 4th and 1.
Or they're up by 2 touchdowns and there's 7 minutes left, and you can just run out the game.
Yeah. That kind of thing, and so I think to myself, like, here's Howie being Howie.
Yeah.
And, it's for a player that's not going to break the bank. Like, even if they decide to re-sign him, it's not going to be for a lot of money, and he's on a rookie controlled deal this year and next year. So he's cheap as shit, and maybe it's a move for salary cap relief. Like they have essentially bought themselves 2 years of backup running back money at the backup running back position. For a guy that might be undervalued by the team that he was currently playing now, which Jacksonville has not been a good team, and you get to be a bad team by misevaluating players. And so he's either not good, Tank Bigsby is either not good, or he's being undervalued by the Jacksonville Jaguars, and then Philadelphia just picked their pockets.
It could be, it very well could be the second one.
Right. I mean, when it's Howie Roseman, I'm willing to bet that he picked their pockets.
Yeah. Well, I'll reach out to Michael Whartonby, our Eagles buddy, and see what he thinks about this.
Sure.
What the scuttlebutt is over in Philly.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
Well, I think there's a whole lot left to talk about for as far as the Lions game for this week. So let's call it for now, and then next week, are you going to be around next week?
I will be around next week. The week, let's see, click on. Next week is the last week that we will be doing the show at the normal time.
Yeah. We have to figure out what we're going to do, but
I will be moving to second shift for my job and therefore no longer be home to do this show live at this time. So we will have to figure out something else. So
we'll keep you all posted.
Yeah. But
hopefully
we'll have
Tuesday,
something good to talk about next week before the chat.
Yes.
So
I'd rather have a longer list of good things and a real short list of bad things, and just swap that 360 here. So, or, sorry, 180, not 360. So, all right, we will catch you guys next Tuesday.
See you guys. Appreciate you coming out.
See ya.